For this problem, we're going to make some changes because there's a typo. I don't know who typed this thing. All right, in the second sentence, we're going to change this to Dottie has 5 more than the number of flowers that Eunice has. Nope, I lied. That Maple has. That's better. So Dottie has 5 more than the number of flowers that Maple has. And the last sentence there, we're going to say Eunice has as many as the other two combined. So take out the word twice. So, my bad. I'm very sorry about that. I don't know if I'm sorry. I'll teach you. There we go. Oh, see, that's terrible. Alright. Yeah, it's better. Oh, it looks like I work for the NSA now. Okay. That's good. Alright, good. So what we have here is we're going to turn this stuff in words into an equation. Please also write in the directions, because I forgot to give you directions, how many, oh my gosh, how many of each type of flower, no, I lied, how many flowers does each one have? We need that part there. How many flowers does each one have? Well, in these problems, you start with your question. Do we know how many flowers each one has? No, we don't. So this is where you're going to name and define your variables. So you could say X is the number of flowers. Dottie has. Y is the number of flowers. Eunice has. And Z is the number of flowers Maple has. Great. I also realized Dottie did a name change halfway through the problem. Oops. Okay. So do not be lazy. Do not say X equals Dottie, Y equals Eunice, Z equals Maple. If you know the reference, this is from the video game Animal Crossing. You should play it. Dottie is a rabbit. Eunice, I think, is a lamb, and Maple is a bear. So if X were Dottie and Y were Eunice and Z were Maple, then X plus Y plus Z would be an animal that's half rabbit, half lamb, and half bear. That'd be terrible. We don't want that. You're not combining the animals, you're combining the number of flowers they each have. So please, math responsibly. Let's turn this into a system of equations now. In this type of example, each sentence pretty much becomes an equation. The first sentence is just there to set up the problem. The second sentence says, together they have a total of 150 flowers. Well, that's the equation that says the number of flowers Dottie has, plus the number of flowers Eunice has, plus the number of flowers Maple has, is 150. Next up, Dottie has 5 more than the number of flowers Maple has. Let's destruct that. So Dottie has, meaning the number of flowers Dottie has, X, is 5 more than what Maple has. Lastly, Eunice has, that means so far Y equals, as many as the other two combined. Well, the other two combined would be X plus Z. Yay. Typically, we like to write it with the variables on the left, constants on the right. The first equation is already set up for that. The second equation, I'm going to bring that Z over. Leave the 5 right where it is. Last equation, I'm going to bring the X and the Z over. Alright, now we are prepped to go back to what we did in the previous section and solve for variables. We'll do this in a different color. So let's see. Let's suppose we wanted to use for step 1 the second equation because y is already eliminated. We can do that. So we could just say x minus z equals 5. And then in step 2, I can multiply the third equation by -1 and use the first equation as is. So now when I add these equations, what happens to the y's? They cancel, so we have 2x plus 2z equals 150. Great. So taking our result from step 1, let's get rid of z again this time. We'll multiply the result in step 1 by 2. Keep the result in step 2 the same. Add them together. Z's are gone. I get 4x equals 160. So in step 4 we learned that means x equals 40. So if you were asked to interpret this, you would say Dottie has 40 flowers. So in step 5 we're going to put that 40, I'm going to put it back into here because it's the easiest. So instead of the x, we'll have 40 minus z equals 5. Subtracting 40. Multiplying both sides by -1, we get 35 for z. So that interpretation would be Maple has 35 flowers. Let's solve for y. If x plus y plus z equals 150, then we have 40 plus y plus 35 equals 150. You're going to get y to be 75. So Eunice has 75 flowers. So this is just an extension of the previous section. Make sure your variables are properly defined. Again, you're combining flowers, not the characters themselves. Also, make sure your answer makes sense. You can't have a negative number of flowers, so if you got a negative number, that means something went wrong. Hence why we had to change the problem.